Oh, great. It's awesome to meet you, man.
You too.
Uh, I've done a little bit of research, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a really interesting story. Um, your rise to fame and the various bands that you've been in and you moving around the world. So you're originally from Whangarei.
That's correct. Yeah, I grew up in Whangarei.
Is it Onahari? Uh,
Onarahi. That's sort of that's where my family still lives, actually. Yeah.
right. So just so that we get up to speed, so your first sort of like successful band that sort of broke out and you guys had music videos and you traveled around the world was Steriogram.
Yeah.
And that must have been an incredible thing because that was quite a quick rise to fame for that band.
I think
in
it
a couple
always,
of years.
yeah, I think at the time it felt like a long time, but we started that band, I think I was 19, and then we moved to America when I was 22. So
Right.
yeah, it was but it went so fast though, like the all that time and the travel. Yeah, I basically got to spend my 20s in the US with my friends, and we got to, it was really, really awesome experience to be able to go through that with four of the people that you love, and kind of learn about not just the world but yourself through it all. It was kind of cool.
And then the band sort of that you guys never officially broke up, but then you started Pistol Youth. Was there an overlap?
Yeah, we didn't. I think with the Stereogram ending was really quite cordial. I think we all just was standing in a circle, and in my head, this is how it happened. I have no idea what actually happened, but we were just sort of like, "You guys want to do something else now?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah, yeah." And that was it. It was just sort of like Tyson wanted to go to New York. I was doing Pistol Youth, and for whatever reason, it just stopped. And it was just we had such an amazing adventure and such a crazy roller coaster together. And that was 2008, I believe, or 2009. I think since then we had a record that was kind of almost finished at the time, or maybe I feel like that record came out after we decided to stop. And then we still did some shows, together. But I think we all knew that we were just kind of getting together for the shows, But that was up to that point, we'd just been full time, just touring and working on stuff for probably since 2002, So it was 2002 to 2008, kind of nonstop, But I was 28 at the time, so yeah, a lot of changes were going on in my life personally, and a lot of the other guys too. So we were just figuring ourselves out, I think, and it was time to do something else. So yeah.
So there was a little bit of overlap with Pistol Youth and Stereogram. I feel like if you start a band as a teenager, it's hard to sort of like because it's founded on those principles and your interests when you're that young. The Pistol Youth was always it felt a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more punky and less comedy related. I felt like there was always a Stereogram. There was a little bit of tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I think growing up in New Zealand with so many cool comedians, and there's a lot of that kind of, I think in America they call it roasting, like that kind of culture of just like roasting each other, and it's kind of it's like that playground thing when you're when I was young in school anyway. It was kind of like you got tough from just putting up with people, but messing around. But then that kind of translates back then in New Zealand anyway, from my memory, it translated into us sort of like making songs which were probably not politically correct anymore. And I
Right.
think we didn't think about that at the time because it was a very different time back then. It was just like us being stupid, and we're all young, and sorry, I've turned that off. And then in Pistol Youth, I was going through a lot of personal changes at the time, and probably just growing up, And I think that you just naturally, there's in my new band Faux Pri, which is a project I've been working on for the last, I've been writing for the last 8 years, just taking time to do other things with my life, and I the whole time I was working on music. But the first song I put out the other day from Faux Pri, and the opening line is took me 28 years just to turn 17. And I think that to me the 28 was kind of a weird year for me, like a lot changed in my life, and and it was sort of my wake up call to like, wait, what am I doing, you know? And I think a lot of personal things happened to me then, which kind of probably put me on a path I'm on now, you know? And so yeah, that you're right about that with the music. It was definitely a pivot. And then yeah, in subsequent music and bands I've been in since then probably reflect that too, you know?
Tell me a little bit about the band No. Like, so that was, that was what, 2014 around about? That was
we started No in 2010. I actually tried to come back to New Zealand to live there for a little bit, and I got offered a job, and I was really kind of like, Pistol Youth was kind of going at that point, but it just hadn't, you know, I think it was the middle of the recession or something. It was a really weird time in the world. And I got offered this pretty cool job in New Zealand, and I saw it as a chance to like come back and just see if I wanted to live there again, see my family all the time. And I lasted about 3 months at the job, and then I spent another 3 months just kind of like saying goodbye to everyone and kind of selling some stuff. And then I just sort of 2010, the start of 2010, I just basically went all in on trying to get Pistol Youth going in America, and it fell over in a few months, and then pretty much started No right after that. You know, I met someone else, and we kind of, my friend Sean, and we kind of just talked about it for a little bit, and then it grew into this like journey till about 2015. You know,
right?
So No was a really fun project, and it was I think all kinds of, I don't know, for me anyway, and a lot of the projects I've been in, they're all the journeys, you know. You're like figuring things out, or you're writing things, or it's all about, I think for me, the camaraderie and the people you're working with, and the shows you're playing, the crowds you're kind of meeting with and stuff. And so it's just been this sort of like a journey of always something since I was in high school, you know, with music. So it's kind of been cool to look at it like that, you know.
So then I saw a post you made about like sort of like popping up like a submarine, sort of in between being a traveling salesman.
Yeah.
In between, were you writing stuff that became Faux Pri at that time?
Yes. So basically, No never broke up either. We just got to a point where like we were older. I was 35 when that band stopped, and some babies had arrived, people, you know, marriages, divorces, all those kinds of things were happening, and I was single, and everyone else is kind of doing really adult things, and it just got to this point. We got offered this tour. We're opening for the Psychedelic Furs, and we said yes to the tour, and then just some really big things happened to some of the people in the band, and we couldn't do it, you know. But I still pulled off the tour with my girlfriend at the time, and the drummer from No, and we just made a new version of the No songs and played them out. And yeah, it was. I think just life happens, you know, and I think that, you know, like your favorite restaurant sometimes changes the menu on you, and you're kind of like, oh man, I really like that baked chicken meal, whatever, and then and it's nothing's the same. And I think that the older I'm getting into life, you just got to be so grateful for when something's really cool, you know, when you've got a band that or a group of people that are in sync with each other playing music. I just get so grateful for it, and I've been so lucky to have a few of those times in my life now where even if it's for a few years, it's just this amazing moment in time, and it'll never be the same again, because you'll never get those same people like in the same headspace or the same life space, you know. And I think that if anything, all this has just taught me to be so grateful for whenever you get a turn, you know, because it's a privilege to do what I do, but it's also really kind of hard because you're like, there's no guarantees in any of it, and you just got to step out and be brave and just try it and go, hey, I've got something else to share. And then it's like, you know, it's such a different time now too. It's so loud out there that, you know, there's a lot of information flying at us from all sorts of devices and things, you know, and it's like, how do you still share like things that you're thinking about? How do you find your people? And I think that everyone's still out there. It's just takes a minute longer to maybe find everyone now, you know.
We are very distracted now, just as a generation. I think there's so many streams of influence on everybody,
Yeah.
not just news, but also sort of like how you connecting with people, like which social platform, which email, which group, and it's been a case of like it's never been easier to get your music out. But because that's true for everybody, we're just saturated with music. Like I have just so many people I know who are making solo projects and bands, and they're doing a side project. So much stuff out there.
And
But yeah,
yeah,
so you've managed to find a way to just keep being creative. But in that break, uh, is that when you started to do the faux pre or starting to think about things
oh,
that became
sorry, yeah,
naturally?
that was a long-winded answer. Yeah, so after No, I was gonna go to Berlin and just it's one of my favorite cities, and I've just for some reason had a really nice affinity with it. I've written a lot of things there, and I called Tyson from Steriogram. We're still like super close, and I was just like, dude, I think I'm just gonna move to Berlin, sell everything I own, and just start again over there. Like I'm just gonna make this faux pre thing happen. And he had already been living in New York for a while at this point, maybe a long time. And then he'd started this beauty company called Fat Boy, which is his nickname in Stereogram. And he's an amazing, like Tyson's a pretty famous hairstylist now. I don't know if you know much about Tyson, but he's done really well in that world. And he's got a few salons in New York and LA, and he's actually really a scientific kind of mind. Like when we were in the van, he was telling us like, I'm gonna make a hair product after all this, and I'm gonna put it. And we're like, oh, yeah, cool, man. And he did. He went home and he cooked it all up, and he did the chemistry on it, and it really did well. Like we launched it in all these countries. But basically, when I was telling Tyson, what do you think about my crazy idea of moving to Berlin? He was just like, do you want to come work for us, like just for a bit? It could be kind of fun, hang out and stuff. And I'm like, at that same week that he offered me that, I just found this really cool house in the desert that was the same as my kind of rent in LA, and it had a swimming pool. And I was like, I could just live in the desert and fly out of Palm Springs, and yeah, let's just do this. And this just sort of fell together, and I decided that I would not go to Berlin just yet. And then it's 8 years later now, and I'm still here in the desert, and a lot of life's happened. And I did that job till the pandemic, basically.
Mm.
And that's how I managed to get a house out here and stuff, and you know, did a few adult things that probably I should have done, and yeah, but the whole time, I didn't, I was traveling on their behalf all the time, and it was sort of like being in a band, because instead of like going to a town and meeting the record label, you're meeting a distributor, so it's very similar. You just walk in, you have coffee, you get everyone excited, they want to meet you. You talk about the products that we're selling, and it's so much like doing like meet and greets like in the old days for CD sales at a CD store, or those kind of things. And so it just felt very natural. Plus Tyson was involved, Tim was involved. It was kind of like all of these things were going on at the same time. So I said to the guys one time, I was staying in nice hotels, but I was like, would you mind if I bought an RV? Because I want to have my studio on the road with me, because I basically was full-time traveling around the US and meeting with distributors all over the country, and they were like cool about that. So I just was working on Faux Pri songs the whole time, and I kind of like, part of me was like sad because I wanted to be touring and doing that, but I just wasn't ready, and I wanted to work on songs till I had enough songs to be like, okay, I'm gonna really do this again now. And I tried to start in 2020. I went on tour for 6 weeks with my friend Ruben from Ruben in the Dark, and through Canada, and we played a couple shows in America too. And I opened for him doing Faux Pri songs that I'd written in the RV that weren't finished, just me and Ableton, which I've never done live before. I always have
Mm.
five people on stage with me. And I just thought, well, if Tyler the Creator can just run around and do that, I'm gonna do it just to see how it feels. And I did. And it was like I nailed it. Like it was a really fun tour. However, I didn't enjoy being up there on my own. Like it wasn't like that, like you talked before about people doing solo albums, and I really do think we've come through this last decade of this age of individualism, where everyone was in a band, and then all of a sudden the band broke into five EPs or five albums.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Some of them have been great, right? But it's just nobody asked for that. No, there's just so much music, and this is before even we talk about any AI stuff. It's just there's a lot of music, right? And so for me, it was also, I had a couple of moments where like I'd go to the merch booth after the show, and everyone was like, "That was amazing," and I'd say on stage, "If I come back with a band, will you come see me again?" And of course, it was great. However, when the next show's on, because I was opening for Ruben, and everyone's watching him, and I'm in the green room, and I'm sipping some whiskey, and it's just me there. It's like, hey, Bradley, like, it's kind of weird, It's like, what kind of, where's my homies?
Yeah.
And I think that for me anyway, music is really about collaboration, and not just the collaboration of writing, but it's about the collaboration of life, and really being there for each other and going through stuff together and living life and going through the good and the bad. And it's almost like a weirdly like a marriage. It's like a 4 or 5 way marriage of because you're sharing a lot of money, you're sharing a lot of like energy and a lot of experiences. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
yeah, it is like a marriage, eh? Like it and furthermore, like touring with band members must be so hectic because you need to commit to these dates and these times and the travel and you're living in each other's space. Yeah.
yeah. And then the price of that is just getting harder and harder for I also to flash back on the Stereogram days, and I just feel so lucky that we were born when we got born because it was still like when we got here, like it was before everything got too loud and crazy. It was really before YouTube, before any of that stuff. It was just like there was still we almost got to taste what it was like a little bit in the maybe the 90s and the 2000s. Well, we were in the 2000s, but you know what I mean? Like there was we kind of it felt like we got there 8 months before the cops showed up or something to the party. Like, it was just like it was really like we had the red carpet and all the limousines and stuff for a hot minute. And then it all just naturally it just was
Yeah.
that wasn't realistic anymore. Like it was like everyone started tightening their budgets and
Mm.
it was like, you couldn't have that, you couldn't do this and I'm just can't even and I mean we worked really hard and in New Zealand and all the schools tour stuff that was really fun that we did. And when we got to America, we were ready. Like we'd played so many shows, but just the fact that we got to do it was just um such a gift. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't
Mm.
take it for I don't take it for granted at all. And that's how I got my green card and got to live in America. I became a citizen in 2016. I got
Mm.
really into Bernie Sanders and wanted him so badly to be our president, but yeah, you know what happened there. So I wanted to vote for him, so I became a full citizen, and yeah, it was
Or was that some of the reasoning between of you wanting to get the green card so that you could vote for Bernie?
oh, so I already had a green card just so I could be here.
Oh, right.
That was I had that for about 8 years maybe, and then I got that from doing Stereogram, and then um at some point it's like a commitment thing that you got to cross the bridge and like become a citizen, and then like but you can't vote till you're a citizen basically.
Yeah.
But I really did buy into that whole and it was real. Like I got to go see him at the Iowa caucus and like it was the most excited I've been about potential for really cool things happening here in this country. And
Yeah.
like it was real on the ground level too. Like so many friends, so many musician friends. It was like that's the kind of place we'd love to be in. And unfortunately, that's sort of not what happens, as we found out. But my main point for saying that was just that, like, that's how I got to kind of stay and participate. But also that entire time, I really got kind of into the political thing, just and started learning about it. I wasn't in a band, and it was kind of nice in a way because I wasn't doing interviews, and
Mm.
I probably would have said too much emotional stuff back then because I was getting so passionate about it. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think now it's just good to like I'm just excited to work on songs and it's songs that help myself and songs that help my friends and
Mm.
people or just songs that feel good. Like
Yeah.
I think that's sort of where I kind of landed with the Faux Pri stuff and that's
Mm.
well yeah, super pumped about right now.
So let's talk about walking in the rain. So this is like one of the first things that you wrote this for Faux Pri, or you didn't know that there was going to be a band. Did you write it for yourself?
No, so yeah, I wrote it for Faux Pri. I mean, I got the name Faux Pri like in 2015, I think October, and like and so I kind of was like I knew it was going to be a band at some point. I thought it would be way sooner than it was. It just didn't land till right now, like a few weeks ago.
Mm.
But I had to launch it before my birthday because I turned 44 2 days ago, and I wanted the lyric in the song. It took me 28 years just to turn 17, and I'm still catching up as I pass 43. And I wanted to make sure that lyric was like actually real. Like when I put it out in the world, it was actually real.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
in my head I had this weird clock ticking, and I've got to start before that because songs come out on a Friday now, so I knew that May 3rd was the last Friday it could be. Anyway, that's just a funny thing that happened. But yeah, I had that song for a while. That was one of the first songs I wrote for Faux Pri, probably in the first 10 songs, yeah.
Right. And in about what's that, 2015, you feel like you wrote that, or
I wrote that actually in 16 at the
oh, right?
start.
Okay.
I wrote the riff,
Mm,
the piano riff, and that song I toured that in 2020 as well. Like there'll be footage probably out there at some point of like versions of that song. A lot of these songs went through lots of versions, and I'm gonna do a different chorus now. I'm gonna different, I think that song's had about 3 or 4 choruses, but the because this project took 8 years and I got a few chances to do it live, I got to shake and break the songs a lot, and
mm,
that was really fun because I could, you'd play a show, I'd record myself, and then be like, yeah, it's not quite, there's some, and then but I know there's a danger to like never finishing, but like, I'm gonna make sure, like, I mean, obviously I'm doing it, so I think that for me it was like the road test for it, for the
mm.
songs. But yeah,
And you got
walking in
to
the
evolve it, you know.
yeah, totally, yeah, yeah. And walking in the rain is sort of like I wrote all those lyrics pretty much. I wrote most of the lyrics for the verses are all done in were all done in Berlin, and then I was really lucky. Michael, the guitar player for Pri, we were in Rome together in November last year, and just we've been doing these like really cool lots of galleries and museums together in Europe, and um it's just such an insane city because there's so much depth of history and culture there. And I did that third verse there, and it kind of just sort of like I left that trip feeling, oh yeah, I think we got this song now. It felt really good.
Mm,
So I don't know. It's just been a hodgepodge of journey, a lot of traveling, and working on multiple songs at once has actually been really fun because if you get stuck in and there's no deadline or nothing was coming out yet, so I was just work on something else and then you come back to the other one later.
mm,
And it was almost like self-collaborative for a while. Michael jumped in a bit more seriously, maybe like a year and a bit ago. And then Spike, the drummer, he's from No, from that band No. And he was actually going to do Faux Pri with me. Like, right, we talked about starting it in 2016 and going for it. And that's then I got that job and he went to university. So it was this whole like whatever. And
mm,
then my friend Devon, she's singing with me, and we've known each other for years and used to perform together when I was in No, she was in another band called Races, and we used to play shows together all around the US. So it's
mm,
kind of a cool family of people that I love. And yeah, it's I really hope that well, I can't wait to do some shows in the US, but I really hope we could do some shows in New Zealand on this project because we didn't get to bring No down to New Zealand.
mm. Faux Prix is more collaborative now. I mean, it started as a solo project, but now these other members you just mentioned are involving themselves with the writing process, or is it more just how they play it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I put it like I wrote these songs so I could find some people to write more songs with, but I'm pretty open about songs. Like with Michael's been my main collaborator. And he's one of those people like he's like a brick wall. Like he'll push back on certain chords I'm playing, or he'll be like, nah, why are you doing that kind of thing. And sometimes we'll have like, it's a good creative conflict that we have together.
Mm,
He's Michael was in Pistol Youth as well. So we've done so many projects together now. And Michael produced No with me as well. So like basically my musical family is sort of we've all kind of like we know each other very well.
mm,
Um, and I think Devon is writing some really cool stuff too, and she's worked on songs for me that aren't out yet. Oh, there's only one song up for Faux Pri, but she's written on some songs with Faux Pri earlier on in the process, and I'm just stoked now that it looks like we're going to be able to do more writing together, and I think it's weird. Like once you start something, instantly everyone it just feels more real. And it's the same when we did No. Like No was two people, and then 3 people, and then it kind of became 5 or 6 people. And it's just when you start it, and then people believe in it, and they hear the songs, and then they join in. And I
mm,
think that that's probably for me the only way to start these days because it's hard to just like get five people in a room and go, hey, so we're gonna be a band, we're gonna be like this kind of style. You got an idea, you got an idea. Like that's kind of what you do when you're 20, you know. But when I'm 44 now, so it's just like you kind of almost got to show up with an offering and go, hey, I think this is kind of rad. Do you want to do it with me? You know, and then be open to them kind of messing with it, you know. So that's sort
Mm,
of my process now is just I just want the best song. I don't care if someone writes a part of it. Um like Stereogram, I think we split everything even. It was just really nice to have that like kind of mentality. It wasn't about any money, it was just about the songs being good. And I
mm,
love that idea in bands. I think it's really healthy if you can get to that place in a band, you know. So
yeah.
I'd love to be in that place in Faux Pri as well. And for me, I would just think of myself as the person that got the song started, you know.
Get the ball
Um
rolling.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I it's yeah,
How would you describe the Faux Pri sound? I feel like it does have elements of, I don't know, punk to it. I mean, I still think that's somewhere in there, but it was
those
probably
songs.
more obviously in Stereogram and Pistol Youth and No. But his how has it matured? How has it sort of transformed from those bands? What's the thing that stayed constant in your writing or in your style?
I don't know if there's a constant. I think that No is probably the first album I made, the El Prado album, that I was like, this is who I am. This is me. And I think in my life, it was the first time I did something where I was sort of like a bit more aware of myself, you know? And anything I did before that was my brain was probably in some crazy turmoil or something. Pistol Youth is a real sad record, man. Like I stopped playing that one day. I was like, fuck, these songs are so sad. Like I can't do it
Yeah,
anymore, you know? And
yeah.
it's actually not online. I just realized I'm gonna put it up again real soon. Like I love that record. I'm proud of it, but I just for whatever reason it's not online.
But
So
just where you're at that stage, I suppose.
yeah, it was just, like I just it was just it was an honest record, and I think it was just I'd moved on in my life, and it was just like cool. It's almost like when you process something and you move on from it, you don't want to talk about it anymore. You're like, yeah, we're cool. We dealt with that. It's sort of like that was sort of what Pistol Youth felt like. But then No was like life is certainly difficult at times, but we're gonna like look for the silver lining wherever we can find it. And
Mm,
I think those songs are a little bit more uplifting and they have this kind of like hope in them. And I love that about music is that and I've found that too. Like I've been at like one of my favorite experiences was this festival we played in Holland and like we've got a song called So Scared and like just met this guy after the show who was in the crowd and he was just like he was like welling up with like tears because of whatever reason that song did something to him. But like to me, and I've seen people at shows be like emotional, and it's just that like everyone's going through shit, you know, and I think if we're there to unlock that in a way of like, hey, you're not alone. Like the theme for No from memory was letting lonely people know you're not alone in being lonely. Yeah, that was
mm.
it. And that was the concept for No. It was just like we all feel lonely now. We all got these fucking phones and like we've got more friends than ever and less people that feel sincere maybe.
Mm.
And that's just what's happening. It's life. You can't fight it, but I think that there's a lot of people out there that and I think that to be honest, the Faux Pri record is really would just be the third No record. And I mean that because like No was a really terrible name and I chose it. It's my fault. And it kind of became a problem for us. There was about 13 bands called No in the end. So we tried to call ourselves Black English because we were already in the middle of an album cycle, which I hated that name, but like
It's like
it
that punk
just
band Off as well. Like, it's I
yeah.
never yeah.
Like it's like I love the name though. I just didn't enjoy like it's almost like we were spending all of our time just trying to be found. Like people were trying to find us online and couldn't find instead of just writing songs, because we could have called ourselves like masking tape or whatever, and it would have been like
Mm.
way easier to find us, right? So it's like anything else. But so the Faux Pre songs, like I feel like are like a lot of the guys in No I think we'll end up hopefully coming and playing like with Faux Pri at some point, and I think that's really exciting. And I think it's just sometimes in all of this stuff you have luck, like you have good luck and bad luck, and I think with No we had some good luck, but ultimately just it's like it just didn't get off the ground fast enough to make it financially viable for everyone to keep doing it, you know? And once you get to that point, you just got to decide, well, we can't afford to tour anymore, even though we love these songs and we love what we're doing. It's just not realistic. And so, um, yeah, that this Faux Pri record essentially for me is just all the songs I wrote since No, and I think there will definitely be some similar sounds that you talked about. The Constant, I think that the Walking in the Rain is probably a reason I put it first is because that I think if you liked No, you might like this song too, you know. But a lot of the songs I think that are coming, they definitely transition a bit more into a um no. I bought a DMX drum machine, so I wrote a lot of the stuff on drum machine. And then Spike would come in and play over it, you know. And like
Mm.
I really love the breakbeat thing, and I was doing like breakbeats with um I saw a genre the other day when I was uploading some music and it was sad rap. And I was like, that's kind of what I'm doing. It's sad rap. And it's not really. Well, maybe it is, but it's like I love hip hop and I love those beats and I love obviously guitar music and shoegaze and all the
Mm.
things that maybe have inspired other things we've done post-punk. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's just it is what it is. I
Mm.
think it sounds like I think whatever we've made, I think it sounds pretty unique. I don't think it doesn't sound like another band right now. It is what it is, but at the same time, there's so much stuff out there right now that it probably sounds like something to someone, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about doing Waiting to Land with 5 Billion in Diamonds. This is so you did vocals on the song for Five
Yeah,
Billion in
so
Diamonds?
I was there's a studio out here called Rancho de la Luna in the desert, and it's like a lot of really amazing records have been made there. And David Catching, he's the guitar player from Eagles of Death Metal, and he runs it, owns it, and I was invited there one night by my friend, and we were just sort of like hanging out, and all the 5 Billion and Diamonds guys were there, and we just jammed. It was just like kind of fun, and it was really like, and it's kind of I don't know if innocent's the right word, but it was just a fun night, you know. And then someone said, "Hey Bradley, do you want to sing?" And I was like, "Sure." And I sang. I'm always writing in my phone ideas down, and I just had this idea that I'd written, and I started singing it over the track, and
So it's your
um
lyrics as well?
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And like I just wrote it on the spot basically. Like I had the lyrics on my phone. I made up the melody and just sang it. I only had 1.5, 2 takes max. Like it was just like we were just everything was going so quick in the studio. And I was at that point, man, I think I got a melody. We should do this again. And it was like, all right, well, no worries. And then I didn't hear anything for like a month and a half or 2 months from anyone because it was just like I think everyone was drinking a lot of mezcal that night too. So it was just like a fun night, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It sounds very folky and a little bit country-esque. But I think they described as existential abyss sort of vibes.
yeah. They well, 5 Billion in Diamonds is it's Butch and James and Andy are the three main guys, and then all of their friends who are just the most insane musicians and crazy bands. They kind of jump in and they play on the records, and so the core understanding for their writing is that they like to make like music that is like a soundtrack for their lives. Actually, soundtrack of our lives singer Ebbot is one of the singers for 5 Billion as well. So I'm in good company. But
Mm.
this one just sort of came out of nowhere, and they wanted no, it wasn't really like it just happened. It's the best way to say it. Like I think we all got surprised by it, and then I was in Berlin at the time, and Butch and James reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to do this for real? Like this song, like you could be in the band." And I was like, "Okay, okay, let's do it." So when I got back to California, a month or so later, I went over, and Butch just got a home studio at his house, and it was really awesome. Just went in there and just sang it properly, like because all we had was this demo that we'd put together from that night. And then Alex Lee is amazing guitarist in the UK. He played on it. Andy did some cool key stuff. I think he's in Bristol. I've not actually met Andy in real life yet, just on the group chat, you know. But basically, this whole thing just came out of nowhere, and we really loved the song, and I got to be a member of 5 Billion and Diamonds. It's just been like
Awesome.
a beautiful surprise in my life. If you told me a year ago that this would be happening, I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" You know. But just sometimes it pays to. I used to have this manager when I was in No, and she always said, "You got to show up. You always got to show up." And I think that's so true in life. If someone invites you somewhere, just go. And you might be tired, you might be like stressed or whatever, but just go. And I think sometimes when you go and just you find yourself in these crazy, just life happens, you know. And I think I always have tried to live by that, you know.
Mm.
So anyway, it worked out that day.
Yeah. Well, Bradley, that's an incredible. There's so many incredible stories, and some of it's luck, and some of it's like hard work, and it's all mixed together.
Showing up.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, it's a. I think you're either a lifer or you aren't, and I'm definitely a lifer, you know. And there's nothing wrong if you're not a lifer either. I just think that like nothing else seems to make sense unless you're doing music and doing it with other people, you know. And I think that that's sort of what I want to do. So, I saw Ricardo sent me the thing, and you interviewed Jared as well from Stereogram.
yeah, Dead Favors. Yes, I actually have. Yeah, that was one of my first interviews I did. Yes, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
the
was.
drummer from
Yeah,
Stereogram.
yeah. I think I
Um,
forgot that. I didn't ask him about that, but yeah, yeah, it was all Dead Favors sort of stuff. I forgot he was actually by Stereogram. Yeah,
Yeah, I spent like all those years with him on the road, you know.
yeah.
And like he was we got to be really close. But yeah, he's I'm so proud of him and like and he's just inspires me too because he just keeps writing and keeps working on stuff. And I got to drop him one day when I was in Auckland and see the band rehearsing. I've not seen them live yet. I missed the show by a couple of days, but it was just I don't know, just like when people do something and they keep doing it, like it just I don't know, it's great. It's how it should
Mm.
be, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So he was the drummer in Stereogram, but did he join
He's the lead
later?
singer. It- um, he he joined before school's tour. Like
Oh, right,
he was he was in like there was five of us in the band, and he joined before anything happened. Yeah, so there's
right.
just the five of us the whole time. We didn't have any other members. We're just the five of us. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
but anyway, yeah, it's cool just seeing everyone's different journeys and
Yeah,
how they venture off into to doing music and stuff. You know.
yeah.
Um,
Incredible, man. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the future of Faux Pri. So,
yeah, so Faux Pri, Walking in the Rain, we just put that out. I've got a few cool things coming out for that. Then we have some three more songs coming out of this first EP. The first EP is called Rhymes with She. I found that a few people didn't know how to say Pri from Faux Pri because it's spelled F-A. Some people like thought it was pricks, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, Grand Prix, you know, whatever. So Rhymes with She is our EP, and that's coming out. That'll be out once all the songs are out. But yeah, we're just gonna basically have a steady stream of music coming out from here, and then the goal is to get to do it live. And that's really, I guess, if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's probably the easiest way to find us, or on Spotify.
Hmm.
Um, just Faux Pri, FAUX PRIX. So yeah, that's sort of the plan. And 5 billion in diamonds, we have another song I believe that we're working on together, which is exciting, and that'll
Mm.
probably be later too. And they're working on another album overall, so that's kind of that'll be a bit more of a long-term thing. But yeah, really excited to do that with them too.
So does 5 Billion in Diamonds tour? I mean, with so many famous musicians in those bands, are they even able to tour?
It's just been getting talked about more in the last few months. So I think and Butch is in New Zealand soon, I think, with Garbage. So I think like I don't know. Who knows what will happen? There's going to be some shows maybe at some point, even if it's in LA or in the UK, some festivals. I know the guys are really keen to do it. Everyone's keen to do it,
Mm.
but like you said, it's just everyone's schedule is like pretty crazy, you know? So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
the
gonna
advantage of a solo project. You don't have to negotiate and so
it's
much.
it's the pros and cons, you know. Like I think, like yeah, it's easy. Well, the thing is with Faux Pri, I actually worked on the songs so that they're all campfire ready, and I'm actually gonna do. I'm setting up this is my whole house is a studio, but I'm setting up like a Tascam 244, and I'm doing a Tascam like a Nebraska style version of the same Faux Pri songs because
Oh, cool.
I want to be able to do like if it's just me showing up and I want to do a Faux Pri show, I should be able to do it. But
Mm.
I'd prefer obviously to have everyone, you know. So I'm kind of just my theory for this project is that any song that we put out has to be campfire ready, you know, like you should be able to sit around a campfire and just play it on an acoustic nylon string like high school guitar, you know. And that's kinda how I started writing songs. So I really wanted this whole project to be at least able to play on a nylon string, you know. So
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's sort of
Any
that's
plans to come to New Zealand with Faux Pri, you think?
I would love to. I'd love to come to New Zealand, and that's obviously that's where we're headed. So, we didn't get to come down with No, and I really was bummed about that because we sounded great, you know. However, new times, new people, new songs, and we'll see if we can make it down with Faux Pri. But I'm really hoping so, yeah. And so far it's been really like a lot of love. People are stoked on the song, and it's been a lot of really awesome feedback from all over, but especially from down in New Zealand. So. And it's Music Month, I think, right now. So for me, it's like, I don't know, I'm always like, whenever I travel, I'm always traveling on my Kiwi passport, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's something I'm super proud of, to be from there and to be able to go back whenever I want is a real gift, you know.
Mm.
But I love being here and making, you know, things go and with my friends here, you know. I've been this year, I've been here 22 years, so
Wow.
it goes real quickly, eh?
Mm. That's awesome, dude. Well, it's been really cool to talk to you. It's something that's you could make a film about your life.
We'll see. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been crazy, man. But I feel like, to be honest, it's just getting started. Like, I think it just feels like I'm just beginning right now. That's what it
Mm.
feels like. So when people sometimes remind me of a tour or something that happened, and I'm just like, oh, wow, yeah. But I think I'm super excited about this new music, and the feeling I have right now is of finally made it to the starting line, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for the time and for the yeah, for listening to the music too. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All
And
right,
man,
cool, man. All right, all the best. Catch you
thank
later.
you. Bye bye. Bye.
See ya.